Our goal is to create a society with moral and godly standards by using the influence of our well-built programs to pass the right message. Glass FM, your number one radio station.
Welcome to another edition of The Overview. How is life treating you all? Still, let me know through our social media handles, which we are going to call later on. Well, I still remain Tina Peter, and I'm here with
Rocky Tina, just as we did it last week, Tina. Bringing top issues that are affecting the society. It's going to be fair that we talk about all these things. Once you bring a certain topic, a lot of people may decide to kind of relate it to the society. How does that get to affect the society? Well, this is, I think, what we'll be discussing in order to let the listener outside know that, of course, these are some of the things that affect the society, and even you and I as well.
Okay, well, that's true. It's true, right?
Yeah.
Today we are going to discuss about poverty. This is our country, but let me not start from there, Sha.
When you are talking about poverty, someone may decide to look at you, especially someone who is currently trekking right now. When decide, sometimes we talked about diabetes last week.
Yes.
Somebody may decide to provoking my blood sugar. Right?
And then you're talking about poverty today. Well, today, there are several definitions of poverty depending on the context of the situation it is placed in, and usually refers to a state or condition in which a person or community lacks the financial resources and essential for a certain standard of living. So, we have a lot of things to talk about poverty today. So I just know that Rokatina have something for us cooked in, right, Rokatina?
When you're talking about poverty, today is Thursday. Today is Thursday, and we kind of play throwback Thursdays. It's more of a tradition right here on Class FM.
Yeah.
And then just the definition you made based on poverty, especially the last part that says that maybe a condition in which a person or a community lacks the financial resources and essentials for a certain standard of living. Sometimes people will tell you that they are first, second, and then third class when it comes to the society, but I think today we only have two.
Okay.
Yes, we only have two. If you are not there, if you are not at the top, then definitely you know that there is nothing like a second class kind of a people, because a normal human being now maybe getting something to say that if I can get my daily bread and I'm okay, I don't need, because few people nowadays say, just because of all these things, okay, I don't have the resources, I don't have this, so how can I live a life of a big man or a life of a big woman, as it may be? So these are some of the things that poverty must have cost in the society, to say that, okay, if before maybe you are earning the sum of let's talk about the minimum wage, for instance. If you are talking about things like the minimum wage, then now government actually tell you to be at the cost of maybe or at the range of 30,000 naira. But if you get to look at it, if you are to have 30,000 naira before, at least it's going to go a long way in solving one thing or the other. But if you are talking about having the current salary structure to say, or maybe let me say the minimum wage right now, you're talking about 30,000 naira. Can that 30,000 naira actually take you from the first to the last day of the month? That is one of the biggest questions.
Okay, I know we are really enjoying this, but right now we'll go on a short break. So we're going back to our Thursday throwback music. So please be there, wait for us.
Let's take it back, way back.
Now it's dead, revive my soul. Takes the broken, makes them whole. Takes the bound, makes them free. Takes of my sins have been erased. He has lifted my disgrace. I'm overjoyed, overjoyed that Jesus would make me.
I ain't trying to be hot, I'm trying to be relevant. I ain't a candle, I ain't trying to wax eloquent. I'm running for my life now, trying to fight hard. These ain't just lyrics, but a contrite heart. Yeah, feeling it like the heat in the summer. We know better, but the flesh should be keeping us running. Back to leeks and onions, as of recent discovered. If it's in the dark, it's impossible to keep secrets covered. Who would've known that my indiscretions would reach my cousins? I apologize to me, my niece and others. You should have been able to trust, but I breached the covenant. I knew you all before you was able to reach the cupboard. Now when I preached in public, it's all out the window. Cause sin contradicted a lot of what my pen wrote. Yeah, especially what I wrote in open book. Apparently there was something in me I
Now is
overlooked.
dead, revive my soul. Takes the broken, makes them whole. Takes the bound, makes them free. Takes the weak and makes them strong. All of my sins have been erased. He has lifted my disgrace. I'm overjoyed, overjoyed that Jesus would make me.
Check my records, I got some priors like Harlem Nights. I need Jesus Davis' son like a Harley bike. Wasn't hardly right, what I did was wrong. And it ticks me off, and it sets me off. And I hate the consequences cause death results. But I know I reap what I sow like Betsy Ross. Yeah, he ain't tip me but he let me fall. Now I carry all that pain, sin left me scarred. He let me fall, he ain't let me go. And now I went astray, sin left me broke. Yeah, the light for me ain't no crystal stair, but I keep climbing cause the diamond is crystal clear. At times I'm quiet, I get a chair, sit and stare and think about the ways that sin affected my fiscal year. Yeah, the tide is turning now, I'm shifting gears. Though I'm weak, he's giving strength in the midst
Now
of
is
tears.
dead, revive my soul. Takes the broken, makes them whole. Takes the bound, makes them free. Takes the weak and makes them strong. All of my sins have been erased. He has lifted my disgrace. I'm overjoyed, overjoyed that Jesus would make me.
I felt dead and lonely, only God knows. Then Jesus came and breathed life on my dry bones. I know a lot, knowing a lot's not wrong, but now it's all about application like the iPhone. Yeah, I got hang-ups like dial tones. Yeah, but Jesus hung up and died, so no condemnation. That's my consolation. Am I still guilty?
Well, we are back from that throwback music. So, Rocketina, what's up?
Yeah, I'm cool. Well, when you're talking about poverty, my mind is elsewhere.
Okay.
Talking about poverty.
Hope you're not thinking about your life story or something like that.
When you're talking about poverty, you have to think of your daily bread. You have to think of what you're going to eat in the morning.
Okay.
In fact, a lot of people will do 001. As a case may be, some people will do 010. As a case may be, in fact, some other people may even do something like 000. Well, thanks to this era of mangoes.
Okay, so now, so many of us, we are actually waiting for a basic definition on poverty. So
Yeah.
can you please explain more on that?
Okay, to hit the nail on the head, just as Africans will say it, poverty is a state or condition in which one lacks the financial resources and essential for a certain standard of living, just as we said it before we went on the break.
Yes.
Poverty can be diverse social, economic, and political causes and effects. Yes, sometimes all these things, it affects. Okay, if we want to talk about something like political, when it gets to deal with the political aspects, you
Yes.
can relate it to our present political situation
Exactly,
in Nigeria.
in our country, Nigeria.
Just for the fact that somebody may have few millions, he's going to look for those people who depends on the naira, or let me just say on the hundreds, not even the thousands. They depends on the 100, because a normal person will go out there as a market woman. If you are going out, at least if you have a gain of 500 naira, you are okay. Then what about those people hawking this tiger nut,
Yeah.
or some other people going with
Trying
one or
to
two
make,
coconuts,
nice maize.
the people selling maize at the roadside,
Yeah.
and rest of this. So whenever they have such money, that's the political aspect when it comes to poverty. They use those people or maybe their children as thugs during election in order to distract electoral process.
Okay, continue.
And then when you're talking about economic stuff like that, if you're talking about economic aspect of it, the way it tends to affect it, normally, number one, it affects your social life. Because if you don't look hungry, nobody is going to call you in order to say, help me, and go and destroy such political process, or maybe go and destroy that person's shop, or maybe go and rob that kind of a person to say that you want to enrich yourself at the cost of it. So it affects the economic, because as far as you're hustling, that shop you are owning, that little kiosks you are having, and the rest of the thing, when armed robbers decide to break in, take what belongs to you, trying to enrich themselves, you find out that you have shortage when it comes to delivering what you are supposed to deliver, as you are rendering your own side of the activities to the society, to say. Then we actually talk about the political aspect of it. Then when it comes to social life, everybody wants to live big and the rest of them, but trust me, it's not everybody that is going to live up to the standards. In Nigeria, I know that if you are to live a standard way of life, then definitely by now all of us would have been smiling, and then by now we should have said goodbye to poverty.
Okay, wow. So what actually causes poverty?
Well, a lot of things actually cause poverty, but poverty has multiple roots. It's just like, you plant a tree and then you don't know where the root is going, beyond just a lack of basic necessity like food, shelter, education, or healthcare. So these are some of the things. Well, so these are some of the parts, just as I mentioned, when you're talking about it, then definitely you have to call food as number one. If you don't have food, then definitely someone might decide to tell you they're living in an abject poverty, or maybe if you don't have shelter, if you don't have roof over your head, then it's another thing again. How can you be able to provide for the family? Then what about education? Should we continue to stay, as illiterate just for the fact that to say that we are living in abject poverty? Or maybe healthcare. That's why we have a lot of polio out there. You have a lot of people with a lot of polio and the rest of the things. So all these things tend to affect each and everything we do day by day.
That's really nice. And the effectives of poverty.
Okay, poverty actually affects lifestyle in general. It affects the way, attempt to look at it this way. We face series of clashes, in some months back. We face a series of clashes when it comes to farmers and then the herders. That's one thing we're facing right now in Nigeria. Once you have something of such, you tend to put it at that particular end, and then it affects a lot of things. And poverty can also limit access to educational and employment opportunities, which further contributes to income inequality, and then perpetuate cyclical effects of poverty. Then unmet social needs, environmental factors, and then barriers to accessing health care, contributing to worse health outcomes of people with lower incomes. That was why in an early, when we got talking earlier, I made mention of these present minimum wage, the way people are actually talking about it. Having 30,000 naira, would that cover in for every particular thing in which you and I are doing? That's some of the things that we tend to ask ourselves.
All right, before we continue this wonderful edition of the overview, we'd like to go on a timeout, and please just wait. We are still on it. We are still going to feed you more of this information.
Stay tuned to Glass FM.
Exactly.
Mama Joy, you see they do like this. You no go change business pattern. Abi you never hear of Glass FM?
Papa Timo, which kind talk be this one? Wetin that one come mean sef? And which one be Glass FM?
Glass FM na better online radio station wey dey help business women like you, business people entirely sell better market. All you need to do na to wire their green on
abeg, wait make I carry my phone.
+234 90 311 01001, or you fit call +234 812 8803452. Once you wire this number wey I mention, you fit make 1 billion like that woman wey dey sell kulikuli.
Oh yeah, make I wire their green now.
Hello, who is on the line?
Glass FM, I mean
Glass FM, making a difference.
Thanks for hanging on to us. And we are going to continue our discussion on poverty. So, Rokatina, what are the problems containing this poverty?
This topic we're talking about today is actually touching somewhere that, we're actually going some places that it's high time for people to open their ears. People should, take each and every measure in order to fight this poverty to its barest minimum. Then we're actually talking about problems. Poverty entails more than the lack of income and productive resources to ensure sustainable livelihoods. Its manifestations include hunger and manipulation. We talk about all these things when before we went on the break. Then limited access to education and other basic services, social discrimination and inclusion, as well as the lack of participation in decision making. And definitely, if you're poor, I remember something that trend, I think a year ago or something, you will find out that people in Nigeria will say, go and hustle before maybe your family people, before they will use as they will use your teeth as an opener in a family meeting, or they will use you share food during family meeting. Because when you find out when somebody is poor, whenever he has something to say in the midst of people get to look at it as maybe this person is suffering from his poverty, and then he's trying to put that thing on us. Then that is to show that some of the problems that when one is poor, or maybe poverty causes in the society, nobody will even give you a fair hearing. Okay, you and I are here. Is someone in the National Assembly, calling for attention to say, okay, this is what we want to do, or what do you have to say pertaining all these things that are happening? Well, I have to tell you that when it comes to poverty, a lot of people actually need help.
Well, I'll be giving the tips on how to help us during poverty, right?
Yeah.
First of all, we have to educate our children. Education is one of the best solutions to poverty. So yes, we have to educate our children. And two, we have to provide clean water to the society also. And then ensure basic health care. Empower a girl or woman in the society, actually. So support environmental programs, those through our society and our places, right? Yeah. Then reach children in conflict, those who are having issues, depression and the rest, and prevent child marriage. Child marriage, Rotina.
Well, you still touch another. This is supposed to be a topic on its own.
Exactly.
When you talk about child marriage, how do you feel as a parent? Your child is at 12, 13, 14, even to the age of 15. I don't even buy the idea of people sending their children on marriage. Imagine me, for instance, to say I just see a small girl and maybe having a crush on her or something like that. Then I go and meet her parents and say I want to marry your daughter. Sometimes out of poverty, a parent might decide to take his or her daughter in order to give out just for them to say goodbye to poverty. Sometimes this early marriage, I think in one way or the other, we should be able to have something to kind of talk about all these child marriage of the thing.
So Rokatina, what's up? Hope the poverty is not reaching your side.
Well, by the special grace of God, we are overcoming.
We don't pray for it too.
We overcome in Jesus' name.
Because poverty is not something someone needs to boast about. Poverty is very hard life. So we thank you all for staying tuned with us, and shortly before we go, here are our social media handles. We're going to give Rokatina also the honor to call out our social media handles.
Well, you can catch us up on Facebook at Glass FM, on Instagram at Glass FM Radio Station, then on Twitter at Glass_FM. Then you can catch us up on YouTube at GlassFM/TV, or better still, our email is glassfm.tv@gmail.com. These are places where you can reach us up, and then we'll be there. We will be active over there in order to relate with you, and then we talk more about what you want us to do.
Well, I still remain Tina, and see you next week.
Well, on this point, on this note, even as we're signing out, you know, poverty is not something that one should actually wish for another, or maybe a nation should wish for another. But well, I have to wish each and every one of us a blessed day. Enjoy the rest of your day, and then make sure that you strive hard to fight towards poverty.
Well, see you next week once more again, and we have to say
Goodbye.
goodbye.